Hello everyone, this is NAT Mir with a network address translation live demo. This is for highly IT professionals who want to set up a network with a network address translation server and want to provide internet access to the LAN local area network in a small or medium organization, or you can even do this at home. The environment what I have is here. You can assume that you are running multiple servers here. One will be running a network address translation with a routing and remote access server services running on it, which I have installed already, and several other computers where I am going to test and verify the connectivity, that without going directly and communicating with ISP, you still can go online through your own internal network address translation server. So here you will see multiple computers. One of them is a NAT, the name ending with NAT is the network address translation. I will show you one by one these all virtual computers. You assume that LON-host 1 is a physical computer. On top of it, I'm running virtual computers. So the service I'm showing you is a routing and remote access server services. So you install your routing and remote access server services first, and make sure that you install network address translation NAT protocol. By default, if you see that you have to enable this console, first you have to go and configure and enable this console as a LAN router and a network address translation option. You also can select a VPN if you want to, but you can customize. So click on IPv4. You will see first no NAT here unless you go and install first. So this is a protocol. So you have to go under your general tab and you have to add a new routing protocol. You will see that I don't have inside of my routing protocol list because I have already installed. I have selected when it wasn't outside, so now it is outside because I have chosen that protocol NAT. The remaining one is a DHCP relay agent, or you have a RIP v2 protocol if you want to install those ones, if you want to act as a DHCP server on behalf of a real DHCP from other LAN, so from other networks, so you can act as well. So in your NAT protocol, make sure you have minimum 2 network cards. So let's see network cards here. You can see that here one is connected to my ISP, that will be my public IP address. The second will be a private IP address. The second address, which is 172.16.0.1, will be the default gateway for all other domain members or all other computers in my network, because my intention is that to take them online using this router address. So from my end, I am configured. One interface is connected to my ISP. If you have this environment at home, you can connect this first internet connection network card, that supposed to be dynamic IP address because you are obtaining IP from your own ISP. So that will be a public network card on the interface under your routing and remote access services. The second will be a private IP address for second network card. So that will be everyone's IP address, like a default gateway. Manually you can add, or you may have a DHCP server. Through DHCP server, you can choose option number 003 for router, and option number 06 for DNS, and 15 for name suffix if you have a domain available. So my public interface, you have to right click first, add a new interface. I do have already interfaces, both of them I have installed, added. So you simply have to go and look at the properties now. The public one is my ISP's IP address. So you have to translate your TCP UDP header of your LAN to your WAN. So here we have one network card which I have enabled NAT, network address translation option. The second will be a private. So you can give them a name to the interfaces. So first interface I gave them a name public. The second interface I gave them name a private. So you select the private interface on the second network card. So as a live demo purposes, I am going to show you my other computers in this same network. They are using my default gateway, so I will show you a demo like I will remove default gateway, then I will go and try to hit any public IP address, then I will keep my default gateway and test it again, just for a learning purposes. So for now you simply can go and test that do you have internet, which is very important, because if I'm running this NAT functionality, my NAT server is supposed to be connected to the internet from one interface. The second will be for my LAN, where everybody is going to use that IP address. So I am good to go. I am able to go online. I can browse any website. This is my NAT server. So on the top left side you can see 20740B-NAT. So that is the name of my server where I am on right now, which is running routing and remote access server services enabled with two interfaces minimum. One is connected to my ISP and the second is connected basically locally as a private interface. So that is the configuration of only my NAT server. All other computers which you see here in the bottom, they do not need a second interface, because they will use my default gateway from a private IP address. So let's take a look on this computer. This is a LON-NV host 2 virtual computer using default gateway from my NAT server, but also is using a DNS IP address from my DC, which is a domain controller here. That is fine, it will still work. If you want, you can add a public DNS address 222244448888, whatever, but we don't need to, because the whole network is basically up and running. I have tested it, and we have to have available a DNS somewhere which is actually using a default gateway for the NAT IP address. So NAT default gateway is also being used on my DC, so that is why you also can use the same DNS what I'm using for my domain. For every other computer's preferred DNS. So this is a DC or domain controller. My domain name is datum.com. So I'm logging in as an administrator. I do have enterprise admin rights on this computer because this is a root domain. LON-DC1 is a host name. The wallpaper of every computer will also tell you what is the computer name. So you can see under local server the IP address of this server. Again, I do not need a second network card on any of the other servers unless I'm using it for some other specific purposes. So here I'm using a default gateway again from my NAT server. So that is the reason I am able to go online from this computer as well. 172.16.0.1 is my default gateway. So this is an indication that on my LAN or local network, I am using a NAT functionality that helps me to go online actually from the NAT server or from all other computers. So here I am able to ping yahoo.com from my domain, because my domain is using a default gateway from my NAT server. So all is a matter of configuring NAT. That is very simple. This is my LON-SVR1 and other server. That is a member server under domain adatom.com, also using 172.16.0.1 default gateway. So whichever server in my network is using a default gateway from my NAT server definitely is going online with no questions. If you remove that IP address from the default gateway, definitely you will be out of internet. So only you can go online directly from NAT server, because that is running two interfaces. Every other server or any other client what I am running in this network using only one interface. So I am having here multiple computers running. You always can look at on the top left side, that will show you the computer name. So every single computer has been verified that is online on internet and using my default gateway 172.16.0.1. So now we want to test that if we are not using this functionality, we are not using a default gateway, what is going to happen. So you can do before and after options. For example, before removing default gateway, you have tested the connectivity, you can test again. You're supposed to be connected to the internet. So now I have a default gateway and I'm connected. That is a before. Now after, so let's remove default gateway, click on OK, and that's all. Now go back, make sure you are on the right command prompt in the right computer, up arrow, hit enter, no internet. That is a one validation. So we just validated that if we don't have a default gateway, we cannot go online. Default gateway means a gate for exit. So this was my gate to exit from my LAN to WAN, from my intranet to internet. So I wasn't able to go, but I should be now, because I just added back my default gateway, hit F7 or up arrow. Now I'm connected back. So this was a validation of my connectivity with the internet. So all you got to do here, first you have to have a server available or member server in your network with minimum 2 network cards. One will be your ISP's IP. One NIC card will be holding ISP's IP. The second will be a private. You can select a private IP address for that. So again, showing you back that you have, I can delete this interface, everything will be done. In other words, if I delete the second interface from my NAT protocol, then nobody in my network will have internet at all, because there's no point for anyone to have internet, because I'm using the second private interface for everybody else, so they can go online using my default gateway. So on my NAT server, I'm just testing the host name. That is my host name, and I can show you directly that I'm using these 2 network cards. So that's mean I supposed to be online only first, then every traffic which comes through internet actually, and every client from my network who gets online, they go actually through me. So I supposed to have antivirus or any kind of security scanning software or ESET or whatever the vendor is basically, which I can use here to protect my server first, because I am a more responsible person, or having a more responsibilities than anybody else in the network, because every traffic goes through me. Then I would say that this is a very appropriate way for a small to medium network. You can use a NAT functionality, making a PC router. So if you have two network cards, that's mean you have a two port router, and you can add multiple network cards. So that's mean you are running a multiple interfaces on your computer, on your PC. So this is not just you can use only for the NAT functionality. You can use a server with multiple functionalities, depends on the power of the server. So the processor, the memory, and other components on the server itself, operating system, etc. So here I'm testing some more commands here. So I am on my SVR1. So if you have some time out, that's mean you don't have a default gateway, or you're not using a default gateway. So if you disable any functionality from the NAT server, that's mean nobody else can go online. That is the first thing. The second thing is that if you do not use a default gateway, that could be another issue as well. So those two things you have to be careful and take a look on that. So my private was disabled. That's mean the whole network was down. Very simple. So on NAT server, I disabled my private interface. That blocked internet access for anyone in the LAN or in the local area network, because that was the interface I was providing for a default gateway. But as soon I enabled back, now is enabled, now I am running a public interface and a private both. So now I am able to ping a same screen. Yes, you can use your up arrow, or you want to see the history of your command prompt or the PowerShell, you can simply hit F7 on the keyboard to get the history tab. So where you can use up arrow or down arrow to run the command back, whichever command you want to run. So here again, just make sure that you are aware of the rules and regulations. So one network card has to be a private, the second network card has to be a public and connected to the public network, so where you can go and have internet. So the second thing is that you can use a dedicated DHCP server, set up a scope. From that scope you set up the options. From those options you can use option number 3, 6 and 15. That will completely provide a user IP address, then default gateway, then DNS, then DNS suffix or search list. So those are the basic requirement, but everybody wants to know. So the way you install this routing and remote access, you can use your simple PowerShell, or you can use your dashboard from server manager, where you can go and use add and remove your roles and features. That is where you can find anything you want to install on your server. So you can install required components. Sometimes you have to add additional features within within a role. So you simply have to say yes. Always just select role or feature and read the description on the right side, and read the top right corner also. That will tell you the destination server, so where this role or feature is actually going to be installed. So that is very important. So anyways, I'm going to add in my video here my email as well, in case if you have any questions. And I'm working on some PowerShell 5.1 and PowerShell 6 videos at this time, and then a lot of Windows Server 2016 related videos. So keep in touch, stay tuned to learn this all environment. So this is not a real physical server which I am running right now. This is just a fictitious server from Microsoft using LMS. So as acting as a physical, then on top of the physical we have virtual. So you know that you can add virtual's own virtual as well in Windows Server 2016 environment. So if you have any questions, again just keep in touch, add the comments or send me an email, and I hope you would like this video, and just follow along and try to repeat these steps what I have done here. All I have done is here, when I was offline, installed a routing and remote access server services and adding two interfaces. Those are just few clicks, so I'm sure that you understand this all. So it is very simple process. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you then. Bye.